Justice for George Floyd and all the other people out there in this world who have been suffering from injustice and police brutality. For all the black American people out there who have been killed unlawfully by police officers. This will be the last time it ever happened if we continue with our fight for equality, for our fight to be treated better in this world by all human beings. We're all human beings and we all deserve to be treated equally. We all don't have to get along, but we all need to be treated equally. The protest that's been going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota must continue in order for this to stop. If we stop the protest now, we have failed as a race. We have failed as a nation. We have failed to protect our people, to protect our mothers and our fathers and our kids, our daughters and our sons, our brothers and our sisters from this happening to them again. It have been happening so many times, and we start off small protests and then they die out over a few days and it happen again. And if this protest stop, it will happen in another few weeks again to another black man in America or somewhere else across this world. So in order for this to come to an end, we must continue to push forward and seek justice, not just for George Floyd, but for all other black Americans who have died under the brutality of police officers unlawfully. Many Americans have fallen to the hands of hate crime because one is thinking that they're better than us. Because your skin is lighter, it doesn't mean that you are better. So we want to see people out on the streets protesting, not just in a few states across the nation, but protesting in all 50 states. All the streets of America shall filled with protesting. Every city must be filled with people protesting for a better America, for a better people, for people to be treated with respect and love, for equality for all human beings. So people are sitting in their house watching the news and what's going on. It's time for you to turn off your TV and come out and be a part of a better good. Come out and protest. All the streets in your neighborhood, walk up and down the streets and protest. Protest on your front porch. Protest in your wheelchair if you can't walk. Protest in the nursing home. Protest in the hospital bed where you're laying sick. Protest. Because one have to understand this, that in order for us to see better for our brothers and sisters to come, for the next generation of black people in this world, is that some of us have to give in order to receive better for ourselves. One should not be afraid or be a coward to stand up for what is right for you and what is right for others. No matter what race you are, you need to get out there and protest. This is not a color thing. This now is becoming further than this. It started off with us being killed for the color of our skin, for our hair, or what we look like. It is time now for every human being to stand up for justice for all, justice for one, justice for all. We want to see all the streets have protesters on them. And not just in America, we want to see protesting going on worldwide in every single country across the globe. We want to see people come out and continue protest. The numbers must grow each day, anywhere from 10 to 20%. We want it to grow. We want it to continue. We do not want this protest to stop until we get justice, until the government puts some law in hand. That people must be treated better in this world, or there will be consequences. Legal consequences, that people will go to jail and charges will be made. And these officers that have committed such hate crime have only lost their jobs. They're in their house or wherever they are, living free, breathing the breath of air. The same breath that George was begging, that George Floyd was begging for, and they deny him of his right to breathe, of his right to live, and put his knee on his neck while there's two other police officers putting pressure on his back to keep him down on the ground. Which, if you see the video, he wasn't fighting to break free. He was just begging for his life. He cried for his life. He cried to breathe. He asked for water. Imagine you out there. It's begging to breathe. It's like you're on the water and you want to breathe and you can't breathe. And you're going to drown. All he was doing was begging to breathe. They could have rolled him over and let him breathe. They could have taken the pressure off his neck and let him breathe. He would have been alive today. But because there is no love for the black man in this world, I don't know what we have done to human beings. Make there such hate in your heart for us. What have we done to you? So the protest must continue, people. Do not ease up the protest. The government said they're going to put out the military if they need it to stop the protest, to put more force, but the force they will come with us. We will double it in numbers. There's more civilian out here in these streets than the military. We will continue to protest until this come to an end. There will be no more life last after this in such unhumane way, in so much unhumane fashion. This is uncivilized behavior to the American people and all the people of this world. No one should have to be treated like this. No man should die like this. And if you stop the protest now, you start it, all your work that you've put in lead up to this far in the protest will be like you do it for nothing. A lot of people are saying that the people out there who are protesting, they're not protesting for George Floyd. Who are they protesting for? They're protesting for each and every individual out there of color who will face the same thing. So even for all the white folks that are joining in with this, I appreciate the support, because I know that there's a lot of good white people out there. There's a few of them that are so hateful of black people, but there's a lot of good-hearted, pure white people out there that hate what is happening and want to see better for everyone. So the protest must keep going. Protest, people, protest. All the streets of America should be filled by the beginning of the new week. Today is Friday. By the beginning of Monday, Tuesday, we want to see the protests in all 50 states. We want to see the protests going on in Africa. We want to see the protests going on in Europe. We want to see the protests going on in the Middle East. Even if you're not affected by these protests, so the world will see that there's a uproar in what's going on and that we need better for all of us as human beings. So protest. I support it 100%, and I will continue to give my support in this. And we need all the streets in your neighborhood, in your community. Protests in the grocery store. Protests outside the grocery store. Protests up and down the streets. Protests wherever you go. Until something happen, till they put some plan out there to make this end, and it never happened again. That's all I gotta say to you guys. Keep it up. Protests.